Welcome to Daily English Stories. Every story hides a world. Some inspire, some haunt, some stay forever. Chapter 1. Whispers in the Classroom. The morning bell rang sharply through the narrow hallways, echoing like a command. Backpacks shuffled, shoes squeaked, and sleepy chatter filled the corridors. A typical Monday morning. That was, until she walked in. The classroom door creaked slightly as it opened, and heads turned instinctively. There she stood, small, quiet, and wrapped in an oversized sweater that nearly swallowed her. But no one noticed her timid eyes or the way her fingers nervously fidgeted with the strap of her bag. They saw only one thing: her hair. It was green, not a dull, mossy green, but a rich, vivid shade of emerald that shimmered slightly under the fluorescent classroom lights. It wasn't streaked or dyed in parts. It was fully, unapologetically green. And that was enough to make the room fall silent for just a second. Then came the whispers. Why is her hair like that? Maybe she lost a bet. Looks like a cartoon character. Lila heard them all. She always did. But she didn't flinch, didn't cry, didn't even frown. She simply walked to the empty seat at the back of the room, head held just high enough to stay steady, and placed her notebook on the desk. No one welcomed her. No one asked her name. The teacher introduced her with a tired voice, barely looking up from the attendance sheet. "Class, this is Lila. She just transferred here. Let's be nice." But niceness, it seemed, was too much to ask. As the day wore on, Lila became part of the background, silent, distant, strange. The green hair made her impossible to ignore, yet everyone chose to, except one. Sam sat 2 rows ahead. He was the kind of boy who blended in well, neither too loud nor too quiet, the kind of student teachers often forgot to call on. But unlike the others, he didn't laugh, he didn't stare, he just watched. He noticed how Lila never looked up when someone entered the room, how she avoided mirrors, how she scribbled in the corners of her notebook, not doodles, but what looked like little vines, leaves, and petals. He didn't understand her, but something inside him whispered that maybe there was more to her than just green hair. Lunchtime came and went. The cafeteria buzzed with noise, the air thick with the smell of fries and gossip. Lila sat alone at a small table near the back wall, picking at her food, her tray untouched. Some students walked past her and giggled. One girl even dropped a sarcastic, "Nice hair," loud enough for her friends to hear. Lila didn't respond. She just stared at her tray, shoulders slightly slouched. But her eyes, they looked elsewhere, far away. Sam, from across the room, saw it all. And for reasons he couldn't quite explain, it bothered him. Not just the teasing, not just the silence around her, but the quiet strength she seemed to carry, like a tree in the wind, bending but never breaking. As the final bell rang and backpacks zipped and chairs scraped back, Sam glanced over once more. Lila was already gone, but in her place, on the edge of the desk, lay a single green leaf, drawn in perfect detail on a torn piece of paper. Sam picked it up and stared at it, turning it over in his hand. There were no words, just the leaf. And in that small, quiet drawing, something began to grow inside him. A question, maybe. Or perhaps the first seed of understanding. Chapter 2. The story behind the color. The rain tapped gently against the school windows, a soft rhythm that made everything feel slower, quieter. Sam sat in the library, pretending to read, but his eyes kept drifting to the hallway. He had seen Lila slip out of class early again, her green hair disappearing around the corner. She always did that. Vanished like a whisper when no one was watching. Something about her stayed with him. Maybe it was the way she never looked up when people whispered. Or maybe it was the way her shoulders curved inward, as if she carried the weight of something far heavier than a backpack. Curiosity tugged at him stronger than ever. He closed his book and followed. Down the corridor, past the science wing, and around the bend that led to the back staircase, the one students rarely used. There she was, sitting cross-legged on the floor, sketchbook on her knees, drawing something with intense focus. Sam hesitated, then took a quiet step forward. Lila didn't look up. He cleared his throat softly. "Hey." She jumped a little but didn't run. Her eyes met his, gray and guarded. "Sorry," Sam said. "I didn't mean to scare you." "What do you want?" Her voice was calm, but her hand moved protectively over her sketchbook. Sam shrugged. "Just wondered what you were drawing." Silence stretched between them. Then she shifted slightly, angling the book just enough for him to see. A garden, wild and beautiful. Flowers of every shape, with vines climbing across a gate and butterflies frozen mid-flight. It was bursting with life. "That's amazing," Sam said. Lila didn't smile. No one's ever said that before. Sam sat beside her, careful not to get too close. "You draw a lot?" "All the time." "I noticed your hair," he said carefully. I think everyone did." "I know. But it's not just a color, is it?" She was quiet for a long time. Then she looked down at her knees. "Most people think I'm trying to get attention, or be weird. I don't." She took a breath. "It's for my mom. She passed away last spring." Sam's expression softened. "She loved gardens," Lila continued. "Green was her favorite color. She used to say green meant hope and growing things. After she died, I couldn't talk to anyone. I couldn't cry around people. But I could dye my hair. It made me feel like she was still with me. Like every time I looked in the mirror, I could still see her smile." Sam didn't know what to say. Lila kept going, her voice quiet but steady. "Every strand reminds me of something. Her laugh, her hands in the soil, the way she used to hum when she watered the plants. I know it looks strange. But for me, it's not strange. It's her." Sam looked at her and didn't see a girl trying to stand out anymore. He saw someone brave, someone who turned grief into growth. "I think it's beautiful," he said. Lila finally smiled, a small, uncertain smile, but real. "Thanks." They sat there for a while, listening to the rain. No more words needed. From that day on, Sam didn't just see green hair. He saw courage and a story worth knowing, and slowly, so did others. Chapter 3. A Blooming Connection. The wind danced softly across the school courtyard, carrying with it whispers of change. Where once there had been silence around Lila, now there was the gentle hum of curiosity, kindness, and quiet admiration. Her green hair no longer drew giggles or side glances. It had become something else. Something beautiful. A story that people respected, not mocked. It began with Sam. After hearing Lila's story beneath the staircase, he started noticing the world differently. The cracks in the pavement didn't seem like flaws anymore. They looked like veins of life breaking through the concrete. And when he looked at Lila, he no longer saw the girl with green hair. He saw a soul who had taken grief and turned it into something living, something brave. Others noticed too. One afternoon, a girl named Jenna from art class approached Lila during lunch. She didn't say much, just offered her a set of watercolor pencils and a smile. No questions, no expectations, just quiet solidarity. Then came Malik, who sat beside Lila during recess and showed her a drawing of his grandfather's house in the village. It wasn't about gardens or color. It was about memory. Lila listened, and for the first time, she didn't feel like a stranger holding a secret. She felt like a part of something growing. Soon, an idea began to blossom among the students. Inspired by Lila's story, they decided to repaint the old, chipped school fence that lined the playground. Not in plain colors. No, this time it would be personal. Each student chose a color that represented someone they loved or something they missed. Jenna picked a soft lavender for her late dog. Malik painted a streak of blue for the ocean he had left behind in another country. Sam chose yellow, the exact hue of his little brother's toy truck, which he hadn't played with since the accident. And Lila, with a quiet smile, touched her brush to the wood and let a rich, earthy green sweep across it like ivy. That fence, once dull and overlooked, became a garden of stories. One morning, Sam brought a sapling to school, a small tree with delicate leaves no taller than his knee. Without a word, he dug a hole in the corner of the yard, just by the fence, and planted it. When Lila saw it, she blinked back the tears and smiled. "Why here?" she asked softly. Sam shrugged, brushing soil from his hands. "Because this is where something started, something real." Lila didn't say anything right away. She just sat beside him, brushing the dirt with her fingertips. The tree, though small, looked like it belonged, like it had always been meant to grow there. As the weeks passed, the tree grew taller. Lila and Sam visited it often. Sometimes they spoke, sometimes they didn't. It didn't matter. The silence between them wasn't empty anymore. It was full of roots and rain, memory and growth. And in that space, once filled with whispers and walls, something rare began to bloom. Not just friendship, not just healing, but understanding. Because sometimes, all it takes is one story to change the soil beneath everyone's feet. One color to remind the world that pain can grow into beauty. One girl with green hair to show a whole school how to see. And one boy who was brave enough to ask, why?